Today, we're diving deep into the incredible, sprawling history of Jammu and Kashmir. It's a story that goes way, way back, from its mythical beginnings as a land literally born from water, all the way to the moments that forged the place we know today. So to get our heads around this, we're going to break it down into 6 key periods. Think of it as a journey, tracking how this place went from a legendary lake to the complex state it is now. All right, let's start at the very beginning. The very beginning. We're going to look at this amazing foundational myth that explains how the Kashmir Valley, this beautiful place, was even created. And it all starts with this one phrase, a land desiccated from water. Now that comes from an ancient text called the Nilamata Purana. And believe it or not, that's not just poetry, it's the clue to what the name Kashmir actually means. So the story goes, it all happened in 3 steps. First, you have this huge lake, Sati Sar, but there's a problem. A demon lives in it. Then, along comes the Sage Kashyap. He does something incredible. He cuts a path through the Baramulla Mountains and drains the entire lake. And just like that, you have this new, fertile land where people could finally settle. What's so cool is that this myth is literally baked into the name itself. You take 2 ancient words, Ka, which means water, and Shmira, which means to dry out, put them together, Kashmir. The land dried from water. It's right there in the name. So how do we know all this? Well, we have 2 major sources. You've got the Nilamata Purana, which is full of these myths and legends, and then you have the Rajatarangini, which translates to the River of Kings. This was written by a historian named Kalhana, and it's our first real comprehensive history of the region. Okay, so the land is formed. Now let's see what happens next, when the first great kings and empires start to shape its future. In these early days, you see a series of really powerful empires leaving their mark. First, you have the Mauryan Emperor Ashoka. He's the one who founded the old city of Srinagar. Then comes the Kushan king, Kanishka, who turns Kashmir into a major center for Buddhism. But the real peak, what you'd call a golden age of military might and culture, that happens with the Karkota dynasty. And the superstar of this era, no question, it's Lalitaditya Muktapida. This guy was so powerful, such a legendary warrior, that they nicknamed him the Samudragupta of Kashmir. That's a huge deal. It's like comparing him to one of the greatest conquerors in all of Indian history. And his legacy is, well, literally monumental. He wasn't just about conquering, he was a massive builder. We're talking about incredible structures like the famous Martan's Sun Temple. He even founded his own capital city, Perihaspora, which was known as the City of Pleasure. Sounds like a pretty cool place, right? Okay, now we're at a huge turning point in the story. This is when Islam arrives in the region and the sultanates are established. It's a shift that is going to completely reshape the cultural identity of the valley. And what's really interesting is how this starts. It's not some big invasion. It actually begins with the personal choice of a Ladakhi prince named Rinchen. He was influenced by a Sufi saint, Bulbul Shah, and decided to convert to Islam, becoming Sultan Sadruddin. Now, the absolute peak of the Sultanate period comes under a ruler who was so loved, so respected, they just called him Bud Shah, which means the Great King. But he's also famously known as the Akbar of Kashmir. And when you look at what he did, you totally get why they gave him that nickname. Just like the great Mughal Emperor Akbar, he was all about religious tolerance. He got rid of the jizya tax on non-Muslims and kicked off this amazing cultural boom. He's the reason Pashmina weaving became a thing there, and he even built the first wooden bridge in Srinagar, a true visionary. So after the sultanates begin to fade, Kashmir becomes this incredible prize. With its strategic location and legendary beauty, all the rising empires across the subcontinent wanted a piece of it. And for about 300 years, you see this rotation of power. First, the Mughals come in. They were just obsessed with its beauty, and that's why we have those incredible Mughal gardens like Shalimar Bagh. After them, the Afghans took over, and they built the massive Hari Parbat fort to show everyone who was in charge. And finally, the Sikh Empire, led by Maharaja Ranjit Singh, comes in and consolidates control, which really paves the way for what comes next. Which brings us to how the modern state of Jammu and Kashmir was actually created. And you might think it was forged in some epic war, but nope. It actually came down to a single business deal, a political and financial agreement. And it all comes down to this number, 75 lakhs. See, after the Anglo-Sikh Wars, the British ended up in control, and in 1846, they signed the Treaty of Amritsar. They essentially sold Kashmir to the Dogra ruler Maharaja Gulab Singh for 75 lakh rupees. That one transaction, that's the birth of the modern princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. And that deal kicked off the Dogra Dynasty, which would rule for the next 100 years. It starts with Gulab Singh, the guy who bought the state. His successors each added their own layer. Ranbir Singh brings in a modern legal code. Then Pratap Singh builds roads and railways. And finally, you have Hari Singh, who pushed for social reforms and then had to make the single biggest decision in the state's history. And that brings us to our final chapter. This is the big one, the most critical turning point in modern history for the region: the chaos of 1947 and the partition of India. Everything happened so fast in October 1947. I mean, just imagine it. There's a tribal invasion from Pakistan heading straight for the capital, Srinagar. Maharaja Hari Singh is cornered and has to make a choice, and he has to make it now. On October 26th, he signs the paper, the Instrument of Accession, officially making Kashmir part of India. The very next day, Indian troops were airlifted in. In just a couple of days, the entire destiny of the region was changed forever. So you have this one document, signed under incredible pressure, that closes the book on an ancient kingdom and starts a brand new and often really complex chapter. It really makes you think, right? How can one single moment, one signature on a piece of paper, totally redirect the future of a place with thousands of years of history? It's a powerful question, and it reminds us that the story of Jammu and Kashmir is, in many ways, still unfolding today.